We hereby call this meeting to order as we start with the national Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I have been informed by the company secretary that a quorum is duly formed for this meeting. Of your company, our company, Chams PLC. I wish to inform you that this general meeting is being held by proxy, subject to the approval and guidelines issued by CAC and subsequently adopted by the Nigerian Stock Exchange. The AGM is being streamed live on YouTube for viewing. I want to thank our regulators for allowing us to hold this meeting despite the present exigencies. Our profound appreciation goes to the Governor of Lagos State for graciously allowing this AGM to hold despite the COVID-19 pandemic. We want to assure Mr. Governor that we are there to all the gathering requirements and proceedings shall be concluded timeously. Before we proceed, I would like to call on one of our own, a major shareholder, Mr. Peter Owolabi, to give us the opening prayer. Mr. Peter Owolabi, please.
In order that all representatives of Chams will be available at the meeting. Father, we glorify your name. Amen. Chams, I want to tell you this is your time. Amen. And you will achieve it. Amen. All what you have lost, you are going to get it back. Amen. Let me tell you something this morning. Some people are rejoicing. Chams will rejoice. Amen. I say Chams will rejoice. Amen. It's your time, you will rejoice. It's your time. I say the third time, you will rejoice. Amen. So shall it be in Jesus' name. Thank you, Father, for what you have done. In Jesus' name I pray.
Thank you, Mr. Peter Owolabi. We appreciate your prayers. I confirm that the Register of Directors' interest and attendance at meetings are available for inspection by members and others attending. In compliance with the requirements of Section 2758 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act, CAP C20, year 2004, these registers can be inspected at the registrar's table just at the back of the hall. I would like to commence proceedings with the introduction of the directors, secretary, and representatives of all the regulatory authorities present at this meeting. 1, Mr. Gavin Young, the Group Managing Director of our company. Professor Oyewusi Ibidakobe, Director. Dr. Evans Wairem, Pastor Itua Igudalo, Director. Mr. Tomiwa Aladekomo, Director. Alhaji Yusuf Modibo, Director. Mrs. Mayowa Olaniyan, Executive Director. Mrs. Yetunde Emmanuel, Company Secretary. Our auditors, BDO Professional Services, represented by Mr. Agbenga Kimbayo. The Chairman of the Audit Committee, Mr. Emmanuel Onoche. our registrars, First Registrars and Investor Services Limited, Mr. Yaya Lawal and Mr. Oladipupo Olabisi. We also have the representative of the Nigerian Stock Exchange, Mr. Bonaventure Onwuji. We have representative of the Corporate Affairs Commission, CAC, representative of the Securities and Exchange Commission, and my humble self, Demola Aladekomo. Thank you so much. We want to bring to the attention of our shareholders that our directors not physically present in this meeting may have joined the AGM via Zoom, a special connection made. It is important to draw the attention of the shareholders to the COVID-19 pandemic and the directive of the government on social distancing measures. Lagos State has issued directives banning the gathering of more than 20 persons. The number of persons present here is within the limit of the 20 persons. We are supporting the government in fighting this pandemic, and we have adopted all the NCDC precautionary measures in order to ensure the safety of all our stakeholders, including the provision of hand sanitizers, face masks, gloves, and checking of temperatures at the venue. In line with the approval received from the CAC for the attendance of the meeting by proxy, the following persons have been appointed as proxies for other shareholders of our great company who could not attend due to the COVID-19 pandemic lockdown. My humble self, Demola Aladekomo. Thank you. Mr. Gavin Young, the group MD. Mr. Emmanuel Onoche. Our revered Mr. Peter Wolabi. Mr. and I believe that's Dr. Anthony Omojola. And our very dear Mrs. Ayodele S. Kudaisi. Thank you for holding proxies for the shareholders. In view of the approval of CAC for the AGM to be held by proxy, I will now invite the registrar to present the proxy report. I will implore all persons that will be speaking to speak into the microphone for everyone to hear. Our registrars, please. Thank you so much for reading that proxy report. And I call on the secretary to read the notice of meeting and notes to the notice.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Notice of the 36th Annual General Meeting of Chams PLC. Notice is hereby given that the 36th Annual General Meeting of Chams PLC will hold on Thursday, 16th day of July, 2020, at the Function Room, Muzon Center, 8/9 Marina Road, Onikon, Lagos, at 10 a.m. prompt, to transact the following business. Number 1, to receive the audited financial statements for the year ended 31st December 2019, and the reports of the directors, auditors, and audit committee thereon. Number 2, to elect/re-elect the following directors. Roman figure 1, election. Mr. Tomiwa Aladekomo and Mr. Gavin Young have been proposed for election as directors. Roman figure 2, re-election. In accordance with the provisions of the Articles of Association of the company, the directors to retire by rotation are Pastor Itua Igodalo and Professor Oyewusi Ibidapobe, who is over 70 years old. Special notice to that effect having been received by the company in accordance with Section 256 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act, Cap C20, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria, 2004. The directors being eligible offer themselves for re-election. Roman figure 3, retirement. Mr. Olufemi Williams is retiring as a group managing director, and Mrs. Olufunke Alomoluwa is retiring as an executive director. Number 3, to authorize the directors to fix the remuneration of the auditors. Number 4, to elect members of the audit committee. Special business. To consider and if thought fit, to pass the following as ordinary resolution. 1, to fix the remuneration of the directors. 2, that further to the approval of the shareholders of the company, obtained at the 34th Annual General Meeting of the company, held on April 24, 2018, by which the company is duly authorized to raise additional capital of up to 500 million, whether by way of rights issue, public offer, private placement, and or other securities at such time for such consideration and upon such terms and conditions as the directors may deem fit, for the purpose of strengthening the company's equity capital base. A, the directors be and are hereby authorized to raise capital of 500 million by way of a rights issue of ordinary shares to his shareholders, and that the rights issue be executed at such price, time, for such period, and on such other terms and conditions as the directors may deem fit. B, the company be and hereby authorized to issue shares below par value of 50 kobo at a discount not exceeding 50% below par value, for the purpose of due consideration of the price of the company's shares on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange. C, that the company be and is hereby authorized to convert any convertible loan stocks raised to equity by way of debt equity conversion or through any of the mode of equity issuances approved herein upon such terms and conditions as agreed in the loan conversion agreement, by order of the board. Signed, Yotule Emmanuel, Company Secretary. Dated this 20th day of June 2020. The notes. Number 1, proxies. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic and in accordance with the guidelines of the Corporate Affairs Commission, holding annual general meeting for public companies using proxies, shareholders are hereby notified that attendance shall wholly be by proxy and shall be limited to a minimum of 20 people, in bracket, the maximum crowd size currently permitted Lagos State Government, the host city of the meeting. In view of the foregoing, shareholders are encouraged to appoint proxies to represent them at the meeting. A member entitled to attend and vote at the annual general meeting may appoint a proxy to attend and vote in his or her stead. A proxy need not be a member of the company. Consequently, members are required to appoint a proxy of their choice from the following proxies to represent them at the meeting. Number 1, Sir Demola Aladekun. 2, Mr. Gavignon. Number 3, Mr. Emmanuel Onuchi. Number 4, Mr. Antonio Montolo. Number 5, Mr. Peter Ulani. Number 6, Mrs. Ayodele Eskudaisi. Executive proxy forms should be emailed to info@firstregistrarsnigeria.com or ebusiness@firstregistrarsnigeria.com or deposited at the office of the registrars at number 2, Abebe Road, Igomu, Lagos, not later than 48 hours before the time of the meeting. A blank form is included in the 2019 annual report and account, which will also be available on the company's website, www.chamsplc.com, and that of the registrars, www.firstregistrarsnigeria.com. The company has made arrangements at its cost for stamp duty to be paid on the proxy forms. Number 2, closure of the register. The register of members and transfer book will be closed from 2nd to 9th day of July 2020, both days inclusive, for the purpose of updating the register of members. Number 3, profiles of directors. The profiles of all directors are available for viewing on the company's website, www.chamsplc.com. Number 4, audit committee. In accordance with section 359, subsection 5 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act, Cap C20, LFM 2004, any shareholder may nominate another shareholder for appointment to the audit committee by giving notice in writing for such nomination to the company secretary at least 21 days before the annual general meeting. Number 5, electronic version of the annual report and accounts. Electronic versions of the 2019 annual report and accounts are available online for viewing and download via the company's website, www.chamsplc.com, and that of the registrar, www.firstregistrarsnigeria.com. Number 6, live streaming of the AGM. The AGM will be streamed live online. This will enable shareholders and other stakeholders who will not be attending the meeting physically to also be part of the proceedings. The link for the streaming will be made available on the company's website, www.chamsplc.com, and by the registrar in due course. Number 7, unclaimed dividend. A list of unclaimed dividends will be circulated with the annual report and financial statements. Any shareholder affected by this process is advised to write or to call at the office of the registrars, First Registrars and Investment Services, Investor Services Limited, number 2, Abebe Road, Igomu, Lagos, during normal working hours or via the email addresses info@firstregistrarsnigeria.com or ebusiness@firstregistrarsnigeria.com to resolve any issue that they may have with claiming the dividends. Number 8, rights of shareholders to ask questions. Shareholders have the right to ask questions, not only at the meeting, but also in writing prior to the meeting, and such questions should be submitted into the company secretary not later than the 9th day of July 2020 via the email address info@chamsplc.com. Thank you.
Thank you, Company Secretary, Mrs. Yetunde Emmanuel. Ladies and gentlemen, before we move on to the items on the agenda, I'd like to update you on the activities of our company. You will each have received your copy of the annual report. I must recognize at this stage that this chairman statement was written and approved, signed by very dear revered Dr. Mrs. Dere Awoshika, MFR MN9 for 2019 financial year. We thank her for a great job done with this report. I crave your indulgence to take the chairman's statement as read. Thank you so much for accepting that. The audited accounts for the year ended 31st December 2019 have since been distributed to you, which I believe you will have found time to read. I hereby invite the representative of our external auditors, BDO Professional Services, to read their opinion as contained on pages 24 to 36 of the annual reports.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. Independent Auditors Report to the shareholders of Chams PLC and its subsidiary companies. Opinion. We have audited the accompanying consolidated and separate financial statements of Chams PLC and its subsidiary companies, which comprise the consolidated and separate statement of financial position as at 31st December 2019, the consolidated and separate statement of profit or loss and other comprehensive income, consolidated and separate statement of changes in equity, and consolidated and separate statement of cash flows for the year then ended, and notes to the consolidated and separate financial statements, including a summary of significant accounting policies and explanatory notes. In our opinion, the consolidated and separate financial statements give a true and fair view of the consolidated and separate financial position of Chams PLC and its subsidiaries as at 31st December 2019, and of its financial performance and cash flows for the year then ended in accordance with international financial reporting standards and in compliance with the relevant provisions of the Financial Reporting Council of Nigeria Act No. 6, 2011, and the Companies and Allied Matters Act CAPC 20, LFN 2004. Basis of opinion. We conducted our audit in accordance with international standards on auditing. Our responsibility under those standards are further described in the auditor's responsibility for the audit of the consolidated and separate financial statements section of our report. We are independent of the group in accordance with the International Ethics Standards Board for Accountants, Code of Ethics for Professional Accountants, together with the ethical requirements that are relevant to our audit of the financial statements in Nigeria. And we have fulfilled our other ethical responsibilities in accordance with these requirements and the International Ethics Standards Board Code. We believe that the audit evidence we have obtained is sufficient and appropriate to provide a basis for our opinion. Key audit matters. Key audit matters are those matters that, in our professional judgment, were of significance in our audit of the financial statements of the current year. These matters were addressed in the context of our audit of the financial statements as a whole and informing our opinion thereon, and we do not provide a separate opinion on these matters. Revenue recognition. Some of the parent and subsidiary revenue stream are recognized over time, depending on the agreed performance obligation. Under ISA 240, the auditor's responsibility relating to fraud in an audit of financial statements, there is a presumed risk that revenue may be misstated due to improper recognition. Response. Revenue is recognized when performance has been satisfied. This is signified by the transfer of control, risk, and rewards to customers. In addition, existence and completeness of the revenue is verified by vouching revenue recorded in ledger to sales invoices raised / certificate of completion, vouching sales invoices to supporting documentation such as contract / award letter, and ensuring contract is duly signed, ascertaining revenue recognition criteria and policies are consistently applied, and then test completeness of revenue throughout the year by tracing on sample basis the delivery notes, way bills, etc. to the ledger. Accounts receivable, the risk. The existence of trade receivables was considered a risk of material misstatement, and our response below was designed to address the risk. Response. We test the reliability of the aging analysis by reviewing aging of trade receivables and ensuring the trade receivables included therein exist and are recoverable, and that they are appropriately included in the schedule of trade receivables allowances. In making allowance for impairment, we made reference to the group's policy on expected credit loss model on provision matrix, reviewed job completion forms and award letters, and considered whether these have been accounted for in the correct year, obtained status report from the project management office, and ensured receivables are booked in accordance with the milestones reached, reviewed material journals throughout the year and all journals raised after the year end, selected samples of trade receivable balances on the receivables ledger and traced invoices to the ledger to supporting documents requested for customers to confirm directly to BDO the year-end balance and then the details of the reconciling items if in agreement. The responsibility of directors for the consolidated and separate financial statements. The directors are responsible for the preparation and fair presentation of the consolidated and separate financial statements in accordance with International Financial Reporting Standards issued by the International Accounting Standards Board and in compliance with the relevant provisions of the Financial Reporting Council of Nigeria Act number 6 of 2011 and the Companies and Allied Matters Act CAPC 20 LFN 2004, and for such internal control as the directors determine is necessary to enable the preparation of consolidated and separate financial statements that are free from material misstatement, whether due to fraud or error. In preparing the financial statements, the directors are responsible for assessing the group's ability to continue as a going concern, disclosing as applicable matters related to going concern, and using the going concern basis of accounting unless the directors either intend to liquidate the company and its subsidiaries or cease operations or have no realistic alternative but to do so. Other information. The directors are responsible for the other information. The other information comprises the information included in the chairman and directors' statements, but does not include the consolidated and separate financial statements and our auditor's report thereon. Our opinion on the consolidated and separate financial statements does not cover the other information, and we do not express any form of assurance conclusion thereon. In connection with our audit of the consolidated and separate financial statements, our responsibility is to read the other information and in doing so, consider whether the other information is materially inconsistent with the consolidated and separate financial statements and our knowledge obtained during the audit or otherwise appears to be materially misstated. If, based on the work we have performed, we conclude that there is a material misstatement of this information, we are required to report that fact. We have nothing to report in this regard. Auditor's responsibility for the audit of the consolidated and separate financial statements. Our objective are to obtain reasonable assurance about whether the consolidated and separate financial statements are as a whole free from material misstatement, whether due to fraud or error, and to issue a report that includes our opinion. Reasonable assurance is a high level of assurance, but is not a guarantee that an audit conducted in accordance with international standards on auditing will always detect a material misstatement when it exists. Misstatements can arise from fraud or error and are considered material if individually or in aggregate they could reasonably be expected to influence the economic decisions of users taken on the basis of these consolidated and separate financial statements. As part of an audit in accordance with international standards on auditing, we exercise professional judgment and maintain professional skepticism throughout the audit. We also identify the risks and assess the risks of material misstatement of the consolidated and separate financial statements, whether due to fraud or error, design and perform audit procedures responsive to those risks, and obtain audit evidence that is sufficient and appropriate to provide a basis for our opinion. The risk is not detecting a material misstatement resulting from fraud is higher than one resulting from error, as fraud may involve collusion, forgery, intentional omission, misrepresentation, or the override of internal controls. Obtain an understanding of the internal control relevant to the audit in order to design audit procedures that are appropriate in the circumstances, but not for the purpose of expressing an opinion on the effectiveness of the group and company's internal control. Evaluate the appropriateness of accounting policies used and the reasonableness of accounting estimates and related disclosures made by directors. Conclude on the appropriateness of directors' use of the going concern basis of accounting, and based on the audit evidence obtained, whether a material uncertainty exists related to events or conditions that may cast significant doubt on the group or the company's ability to continue as a going concern. If we conclude that a material uncertainty exists, we are required to draw attention in the auditor's report to the related disclosures in the consolidated and separate financial statements, or, if such disclosures are inadequate, to modify our opinion. Our conclusions are based on the audit evidence obtained up to the date of our audit report. However, future events or conditions may cause the company to cease to continue as a going concern. Then finally, evaluate the overall presentation, structure, and content of the consolidated and separate statement, including the disclosures, and whether the company and the group's financial statements represent the underlying transactions and events in a manner that achieves fair presentation. We communicate with the directors regarding, among others, the planned scope and timing of the audit, the significant audit findings, and any significant deficiencies in internal control that we identify during the audit. Report on other legal and regulatory requirements. The Companies and Allied Matters Act, CAPC 20, LFN 2004, requires that in carrying out our audit, we consider and report to you on the following matters. We confirm that, A, 1, we have confirmed all the information and explanations which, to the best of our knowledge and belief, were necessary for the purpose of our audit. 2, in our opinion, proper books of account have been kept by the company and its subsidiaries. 3, the company's and subsidiaries' statement of financial position and statement of profit or loss and other comprehensive income are in accordance with the books of account. Signed by Olugbemiga A. Akibayo, FRC number 2013/ICANN/1076 for BDO Professional Services Chartered Accountant, and signed in Lagos, Nigeria on the 28th of May, 2020. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gbenga Akinbayo from BDO, for that report. Thank you. In accordance with the provision of 3596 of the Companies and Other Matters Act, CAP C20, LFN 2004, the Audit Committee duly carried out their duties on the accounts. I hereby invite the Chairman of the Audit Committee, Mr. Emmanuel Onoche, to read the committee report as contained on page 23 of the annual report.
Good morning, everybody. This is the report of the Audit Committee of Chams PLC. To the members of Chams PLC and its subsidiaries, in accordance with the provisions of Section 359, subsection 6 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act, Cap C20, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, we have reviewed the audited financial statement of the company for the year ended 31st December 2019 and report as follows. A, the accounting and reporting policies of the company are consistent with legal requirements and agreed with ethical practices. B, the scope and planning of the external audit was adequate. C, the company maintained effective systems of accounting and internal control during the year. D, we are satisfied with the external auditor's findings and recommendations on management letter and the management processes thereon. Dated this 27th day of May 2020. Signed, Mr. Onoche Emmanuel, Chairman Audit Committee. FRC stroke 2017 stroke NIM 000016405. Members of the Audit Committee are as follows. Mr. Emmanuel Onoche, Chairman. Mr. Moses Iburide, Member. Mr. Doyi Owolabi, Member. Dr. Evans Warren, Member. Pastor Itwa Igodalo, Member. And Mrs. Mayowa Olaniyan, Member. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Onoche Emmanuel. I now lay the annual reports and accounts for the year ended 2019 before you. We hereby welcome questions and comments. Please announce your name before your question and comments. Thank you very much. Shall we have Madam to take the very first question?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the opportunity given me to speak at this gathering. My name is Alaja Ayodele Kudaisi of Independent Shareholder Association of Nigeria. Mr. Chairman, I first and foremost want to congratulate us for this meeting. Why am I saying this? In any given year of running a business, we've seen a lot of companies that cannot even come to the shareholder and say, this is the way, this is the stage, this is where we are. But here you are today, telling us how far you have gone about the company, and I really want to appreciate your effort at presenting this year's annual account. Mr. Chairman, on page 8, where you talked about raising of capital, Mr. Chairman, I want to assure you that the shareholders of like mind, especially the shareholders of Independent Shareholder Association of Nigeria, will really support you on this. However, Mr. Chairman, I want us to tread with caution given the prevailing situation in Nigeria, which the COVID has brought to bear on us. we have to be mindful of right pricing as well as a good timing to come out, so that whenever we are out, we are sure that at the end of the exercise, we are successful. Still going on the way of advice, Mr. Chairman, is I want to advise that we have to put important strategic structure on ground. Mr. Chairman, why am I saying this? Now, with the COVID pandemic, everything now is being done online, even including the AGMs. It's not the normal AGM that we are used to. So everything is now going on Zooming and all this stuff. And I believe this is a plus for us, that we should really get hold of this situation and maximize it to our own benefit, so that we will be able to work harder and get more marketing to our system. It is very, very important. It's an advantage. It brought an advantage to us, sort of. So it is better we grab it and make better use of it. Mr. Chairman, on page, okay, a page is completely missing on this annual account. I've gone through, I can't find it, which is the result at a glance. I don't know whether it's stuck somewhere, but I've gone through the pages. I can't, but if it is an omission, I want to say that we should actually make sure that by coming AGM, we have the result. Because this page actually takes us straight to the skeleton of the company, where at a glance, under 2-3 minutes, you see the skeleton of the whole company. So it is very important that we must have this page always on our account. On page, I want to take page 8 and page 15 together. An important item too is missing on this page, which is under our agenda, and which is the dividend. Mr. Chairman, you have given us reasons why we are not having dividend this time around, and I've gone through the past record. We have been consistent. I give that to us. And you gave us the reason why this year, but my appeal is that we should not make the absence of this item a permanent feature on our annual accounts. I want that item back on our annual accounts at the soonest possible time, which is the payment of dividends. It is very, very important. Mr. Chairman, on unclaimed dividends, I appreciate the list you put on the annual account for us here to see the unclaimed dividends. I also want to say to our registrars, they are the #1 registrars in Nigeria. I appreciate them. But I want to make a suggestion that, in any registrar's point where a shareholder have filled the e-dividend form, since they use almost the same portal for their businesses with other registrars, I think they should make an effort to make sure that wherever it is being filled, that's the form, e-mandate form, they should circulate it around to other registrars' portal, so that they will pick it at a glance and utilize it on their own portal. Why am I saying this? The list is getting elongated every day because it's so stressful for the shareholders. Every registrar expects you to go to your bank or collect a bank confirmation. They expect you to go to this place, get this and get that. It's so stressful for shareholders. That's why some people look at it and say, how much am I even earning on this dividend? So let it stay with them. So if they can use one single e-mandate for all their portals and circulate it around, it will actually ease the stress of the shareholders, and it will reduce the figure we are talking about under the unclaimed dividend listing. Then on page 29 of the annual account, our receivable is almost double. This is not good enough for us, and we must control this. Mr. Chairman, I want to know how effectively are we handling our operational risk. It is the backbone of any serious business in Nigeria, and we must put extra work on making sure that our risk are minimized as much as possible. Mr. Chairman, on page 64, which is the contingent liability of 250 million, that amount of money is huge. It's huge. And I don't think we've made any provision. So we should be proactive on all these things so that if in case of any eventuality, so we won't be taken unawares. And how are we managing our foreign exchange for now? And lastly, Mr. Chairman, I want to say, what do we expect at the post-COVID era? What do we expect from the company? And how are we managing for now? And lastly, I want to thank our exiting directors and wish them well in their future endeavors. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Madam, for the beautiful contribution and questions. Just before I call on Mr. Wolabi, the performance at a glance is on page 7. We just made it very, very colorful. Thank you very much. Mr. Wolabi, please. Thank you.
Chairman, directors on the board, regulators, shareholders, representatives, our auditor, I say good morning. Olabi Peter is my name. Yesterday when I received this report, I went through the report. I could not find financial highlights. I immediately contacted the secretary. What's happening? He said it's there. I said I couldn't find it. This, I look at the table of contents again. I don't use glass. I said, put on the gem for me so that I can see, because there was no light. Maybe my eye is doing somehow. I went through it again. I couldn't find it. I slept 12 midnight because it was brought to me very late. I was expecting the report, and I always live within 6 and 7. You see? So after going through the report, I now realize that it is included on page 27, performance at a glance. We need one assistant from you. Shareholders, whenever I receive a report like this, we go through the table of contents. We choose the one that is very important to us. From that table, we see whether there's any dividend or not. So from that report, we shall know whether dividend is paid or not. So any other time, make sure on this table of contents, this performance at a glance is very, very important to shareholders. Before we go to other items on the report. So let it be so, let it be there. Other reports always include financial highlights. It's a special page for shareholders. My GMD, you are welcome. Although you are not a stranger, you have been with the company for a long time, according to the story. Yes, I told you this morning, you have to have your time so that you will perform well. In Nigeria, the weather is hot. It's not so cold like in the foreign country where you cannot wear this type of address. Even though you put it on, you still put another coat on top of it. But in Nigeria, it's very hot. To enable you to work very hard, sir. You have been one of the members of this company for a long time, according to the information. The last person left, that's right. There was profit for about 2 years now. But you need to do more. You need to work hard. This is an opportunity for our company. When I was praying, I said, this is our time. I say again, it's our time.
Yes.
And it shall be so in Jesus' name.
Amen.
Listen. Somebody like me, I take 70-something. What am I looking for? What I will eat. And this is what I depend upon. And many others. Majority of us shareholders, we are retired people. We depend on our investment. And we can't just put our money where people will take it away from us. People come to me every now and then, come and invest money in fish, come and invest in chicken, come and invest in this. I say, thank you very much. I don't invest my money on that. You see? So, now coming down here, at the end of the year, when we expect something, we don't see something, you are not happy. Frankly speaking, I'm telling you now. Please, my group MD, try your possible best. So that the result for this year will be better than the one of the 2 years of last year, 2019 and 2018. You will receive dividends a long time ago. It's time for us. The opportunity we have this time, let's make use of the opportunity. Although there have been some problems sometimes ago, but the problem is no more in Jesus' name. It's gone. Make your efforts. We appreciate your coming in as GMD, and I congratulate you. For those who have gone, congratulations on their retirement. May they enjoy every moment of this new journey of their life. May all that they dream about after retirement should come to truth. Happy farewell to them. Our message to them, please, try to give to them. My brother, you are welcome on board. You have been there, you continue to be there.
Thank you so much.
You will reap the fruit of your labor. You tried.
Amen.
But Satan has failed entirely. It's not that you don't know what you are doing, it's not that this and that. But Satan has what? Has failed.
Amen.
You are moving forward.
Amen.
You shall not go down again.
Amen.
In the mighty name of Jesus.
Amen.
After saying all this, there's something I don't see in this report. Your profiles are not there. Directors profile, they are not here. I cannot see number of persons employed by Chams in this report. And there's nothing like salary range. Although your administrative expenses were written, but no details. No details about your administrative expenses. You just see figure. And I saw nearly 3-4 administrative expenses in this account. You see, it should not be like that. There must be details for everything. How you spend the money, the purpose. It's not fitting. You just say administrative expenses. So there's a loss of Chams Switch Limited of 25 million. What happened? Chams Switch Limited, loss of 25 million. What happened? Sir, okay. From range analysis on page 15. I can see that with the right issue, my question is, have you discussed this issue with people with 1 million plus up to this 1 billion or something billion there? They're having 82.43% of the share. Do you have any meeting with them? Any meeting with you and these people? So that they will take their shares. Then the rights issue comes out. They are the majority. It's very important. If you have not done that, try to look for them. Discuss with them. So when the right is out, so that we don't fail, we shall not fail. Amen. We need money in order to pick up. You need to discuss with them. You need to hold meeting with them. If you look from 1 to 1,000, you have many. But what is the unit of a holding? This is the question. And that's why you need to dig guns, so that they will participate in the right issue. Page 21, anniversary celebration. I'm not there. I cannot see any shareholders here. What's happening? You did it without us. You cannot invite some of us to come and celebrate with you people on the 34th anniversary of this company. Why? You neglected us. In the future, please, remember us. I don't want to talk about the accounts revenue, this and that. There was increase, definitely. But the bottom line, we have 6 kobo per share. 6 kobo is nothing. If you give me 6 kobo per share, you can, at this present moment, I don't think, you cannot even buy bread. You can't buy bread, 6 kobo. Any 6 kobo bread in Nigeria? No. You can't buy bread. That's why I say, MD, you need to try as much as possible. We are not talking of 6 kobo. We are talking of naira, and it shall be so. Amen. So make effort so that we don't see this kobo. We want naira. It shall be well with you. Amen. You will not die. You will not sick. Amen. By the grace of God. So make effort. Page 44. That's in respect of investment in equity. On that page, we invested a lot of money. What is our holding percentage there? And who's representing us on the board of that particular company where we put in money? Then page 46, we have a lot of money in the bank, short-term deposit. Does it mean what you hand here is more than what they are charging us for the loans we receive from these banks? And what are the terms given to us in payment of the loans? You see? We have about 124 million as short-term deposit with banks, different banks. And we have loans of so million or billion maybe as loans. What do we gain in putting money there? What they are giving us, is it higher than what the interest they are collecting from us for loans? You should look at that. page 5.0, confirm me, under product line category. We need to put more effort on that. You see, BVN sales and maintenance and data car products are the ones that fetch us money on that page. So we need to look for more customers so that more money will come in from that. The one of Chams Switch Limited, that was on page 55, loss of 25 million. What are we going to do? Should we continue that? If there's anyone that cannot give us better, why can't we sell it off? The one of loans, that's on page 61, which I already refers to. So finally, that's in respect of unclaimed dividends. We are having a lot of problems in this country. And I don't know who will surely solve this problem. I think that I have 1 unit of shares in Chams. And I later decided to add more units. And I now bought another 10 units. Do I need to go to the registrar again? If we have the same name of Olabi Peter and the same address, the same telephone number, the same everything, do I need to go and register with the registrar again? They should be able, seeing that 10 units, they should be able to include it with my 1 unit. That should be the right thing. They should not expect me to come to the office again to say, oh, I've bought another one, I'll get another. When every signature is already with them. Shareholders are living at home, so any register office you spend not less than 1,000 naira. If we have some Alaja, from where she comes this morning, it's going to spend up to 2,000 to get to this place. You see? So you bought, is it because of dividend of 5 naira, 10 naira, you will now leave your home, going to the registrar, spend thousands of naira to get there. So regulators, it's in your hand. You need to speak to the registrars. They are the main problem of this unclear dividend. And I thought they are getting something out of it. Thank you very much, Olabi Peter Spending.
Thank you, Pastor Peter Olabi. Any more questions? Dr. Antonio Mojola, please. If you can make it very brief and direct to the point, we shall appreciate that.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I know you want a quick review of my earlier discharge, which has been sent. Okay. I will go through a few of them. I'm sure the management, the directors will be at liberty to reply to all, since this has been forwarded. Okay. Thank you. I greet everyone here and those online. We are not privileged to be here. My name is Prince Dr. Antonio Mojola, the National Coordinator of Independent Shareholder Association of Nigeria. Like I said, as the foremost shareholder group in Nigeria and Africa, we always do a comprehensive review of every annual report and account. And as a stakeholder, we are interested in what is going on because it goes a long way for our benefit of the company and the economy generally. We congratulate the board and management on this 36th annual general meeting of Chams. On 2019 annual reports and accounts, where we have an increase of 22% on profit before tax, despite the tough operating environment. We also like to thank our outgoing chairman, Dr. Mrs. Deria Aoshika, MFR MNI, for her immense contribution and her public sector connection to the development of Chams, while we welcome the new chairman, our Sir Ademola Alade Komo, who will continue to live the vision of the founders of the group on the practice of good corporate governance. The unclaimed dividend as part of the printout in the annual reports and accounts. And like the earlier speaker said, we want the registrars to be up and doing and to help the shareholders and Nigeria as a whole, so that this unclaimed dividend, instead of being there unclaimed, the owners could have them and to the benefit as a return of our own investment. I look at page 64, where we have contingent liability of 350 million. We are told that yes, the council, the legal counsel has advised us that there's a possibility of a 50-50 win-win issue. But the fact that there's still possibility that we are going to, the likelihood of losing some amount, we will have preferred a situation where the company also deemed it right to make some provision, even if it's going to be out of a court settlement. So, and now we are mindful that we are not going to win all. We advise that the management should look at the way of making some provision. On page 46, find out that we have some deposits there. I initially found on the balance with one of the bank because it's so huge, and we don't want our company to put all our eggs in one basket. But it's been explained that it was for a purpose and it's being used for that purpose. We are glad at that. Going forward, yes, a service for a specific purpose. We don't want our money to be, much of the money to be put in a particular bank because of the uncertainty of time. Having said this, and knowing fully aware that we have all discussed, I want to ask about our 5-year strategic plan. In the annual reports, the outgoing chairman and the group MD has highlighted the plans of the group to leverage mass consumer and commercial segments of to deliver innovative and beneficial solutions across various sectors, that is African digital solution, and move over from over-dependence on public sector. While we acknowledge the positive impact of this we have, or it had in our 2019 operational performance, we want explanation as to how we can leverage on the global situation to increase revenue from our e-product and services. Conclusively, I want to appreciate the efforts of the directors, management and staff in ensuring that we have a going concern as a company, and I pray and wish that the company will be more successful in our operations going forward. And by this time next year, I pray we should have gotten over these capitalization issue we want to do, and be able to pay dividend, make some return to the investors as a return on their investment. Thank you very much. God bless us all.
Thank you so much, Dr. Anthony Omojala. This will be the very first time I will say very well documented forwarded set of questions at AGM. Really, really impressive. What you've done is to give the company quite a lot of homework, 4-page homework covering back-to-back of the report. Thank you so much for the detailed set of questions. We promise that the board will look at this and respond as much as possible to all the details. But we try and address the summary that you gave. We are not really surprised by what Independent Shareholders Association have done, knowing the antecedents of Dr. Antonio Mojola, the national coordinator, but also knowing that one of our major shareholders, Sir Sonny Wosu, is still the national coordinator emeritus. Thank you very much. We appreciate you. We'll quickly go through some of the questions. Some of them have been answered by you. A couple of them were possibly because you were not on the table of content. But we take some crucial ones. We're going to be readily available as usual by phone, email, to respond to the others. Mrs. Kudaisi's question about the performance at a glance had been answered very well, and that's on page 27. But the table of content that Mr. Peter Owolabi asked for, we're going to ensure the issue of putting them properly in the table of contents will be addressed. The dividend had been addressed, that because of the issue of COVID, the need for us to conserve cash. Even though we paid dividend for the financial year 2018, we try not to spend too much on cash. Yes, we were profitable in 2019, but we are seeking the kind indulgence and understanding of the shareholders that with COVID-19, you do not know what the rest of the year is going to bring. We're going to work very, very hard to ensure that we survive this year. The case is survivor, because things are not normal. We have a new normal. You must thank Mr. Owolabi and Mrs. Alaja Kudaisi for the advice that we should take advantage of the current pandemic. The GMD is going to speak briefly to the question of our vision. There have been a lot of strategy sessions going on. Or now we're going to take advantage and make sure that we give our country and humanity good solutions that will allow our people survive and to make your company, Chams PLC, and the subsidiaries very profitable while resolving issues for the country and for humanity. I just addressed one or two other issues, then call on the CFO, Mrs. Olaniyo, to answer two of the finance questions. Let me apologize that the management did not invite the shareholders when we were celebrating our 34th anniversary. We're going to be celebrating the 35th in September. I'm asking the management to ensure that representatives of the shareholders are present. That we need to do. Definitely. Thank you so much for that observation. Chams switch, just a slight correction in there. The loss was actually for 2018, the 25 million naira loss. If you check page 15, was 2018. 2019, they made a slight profit of 6.29 million for 2019. But generally, we like to let the shareholders, the owners of the company, know that the board of directors are not even too happy with this 2019 profitability level. Your company should be doing far better than this, and we've had the assurance of management with the new vision that are being implemented and the strategies, the new solutions, that 2019 and subsequent years will be far better than what we have. Your company is back to profitability. We're going to keep it like that, but we want dividend to be a yearly thing. COVID, pandemic, no COVID, no pandemic, and so shall it be by the grace of God. I call on Mrs. Olanio Christina to answer two of the major issues regarding finances. I pointed them to her. Please kindly take that for us.
Thank you, sir. This question is from Sir Peter Owolabi on page 69 of the annual return, where he asks about the loan exposure and the interest on it. We confirm that the loan was taken for a specific project, and at the same time, we confirm that the interest on it is at the market rate. It is not high. It is something that the company, the project school, absorbed, and the company will still make profit. With regards to the deposit is from one of our subsidiaries that has cash and it deposited in the bank, and they equally earn interest income at the market rate. The second finance question from Mrs. Ikuda Isi is about the receivable. The receivable that was increased is from one of our subsidiaries that did some job towards the end of the year, and the cash was realized before the Q1, before March year 2000. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Madam. There's a question about first registrar. Actually, two different questions. I call them more of observations. We can only take observations on behalf of first registrar. We know that it's a great company. They are here, but they may not be able to respond to you. They are very reactive and very proactive. They are IT compliant. We've been using them for years. They respond very well. I'm sure they've had you. We must thank First Registrar, Mr. Yaya Lawal. They've been doing a great job, and also the MD. I'm sure by the time you come back next year, a lot of your observations will have been addressed by them. Let me just thank First Registrar for the good work they've done for Chams PLC over the years. You've had the comments from the shareholders. We need to do something about the unclaimed dividends and about multiple registration, KPI issues, and KYC issues. KYC issues, I mean. And you know your Chams PLC has identity management solutions. We can work together towards resolving some of those. I call on the MD to quickly talk about the strategic plans that Dr. Mojala asked about briefly.
Thank you so much, Chairman, and thank you for your question. Yeah, about 4 or 5 months ago, under the leadership of the Chairman, the Board of Directors and the management, we embarked upon a new 5-year strategic plan and vision for Chams PLC and Chams Group as a whole. You know, what I can say is that we are focusing a lot more on the Africa digital solutions within the company, and to deliver such value to the shareholders through those digital solutions. So we've obviously had a very close look at our business in terms of the sort of businesses that we're involved in. And I'm happy to say that there's a number of very exciting new businesses that we're now starting to get involved in as well, and as all part of the restructure. There was a question relating to the international focus. So certainly it's part of this vision as well. We've made a conscious decision to ensure that our digital solutions are also portable into Africa and internationally. We also, generally related to that, want to have a lot less reliance on the importation of equipment, etc. So in terms of having to, find foreign currency, shall we say, that's a major focus of the group, and particularly within our subsidiaries as well at the moment. Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Thank you, Gavin. So the focus going forward will be African, of course, with emphasis on Nigeria, a lot of digital solutions, and we are going straight to the consumer subsequently. Thank you so much. We thank the independent shareholders for commending our outgoing chairman, Dr. Mrs. Dere Awoshika, MFR, MNI. She did very well for us. We really, really appreciate her. The other questions raised by Mr. Peter Wolabi on the director's profile, staffing issues, we make sure that next year they are all covered. There are some other management-related questions that are asked. We're going to respond to the shareholders' questions as we go along the line during the course of the year. And you are all welcome to continuously interact with the board and most especially the management. Thank you very much for those questions. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished shareholders, time is of essence. Since there are no more questions, we shall proceed to voting on the resolutions. There are 6 items on the agenda. By the powers conferred on me by Section 225 of CAMA, I hereby call a poll on the items on the agenda. The voting will be done electronically. Given that all the resolutions are ordinary resolutions, a simple majority is required to pass the votes. I will move the motions and then invite a shareholder to second each motion. The results will be projected on the screen for our viewers. The registrar is hereby invited to explain the process of voting. First registrar, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. For the purpose of voting on each resolution, I'm sure each of the shareholders are having the voting device with them. On the voting device, you see some numbers in arithmetic and alphanumeric. If you are in favor of any resolution, you press 1 on the voting device. However, if you are against any resolution, you press 2, and this will be captured. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Yaya Lawan. The first item on the agenda is to receive the audited financial statements for the year ended 31st December 2019, and the reports of the directors, auditor, and audit committee thereon. I therefore move that the audited financial statements for the year ended 31st December 2019, and the reports of the directors, auditors, and audit committee be received by the members. Will a member second this motion? Yes. Your name, please.
I so second.
Thank you very much. The motion is hereby put to vote. The registrar kindly counts the votes by poll. I announce.
Voting, please press 1 if you are in favor of that resolution, while you press 2 if you are against. It's not open. It's open. The response is there already. Four shareholders have already voted. The poll is still open. 5 shareholders have voted so far. Calm down, please. You have 8 seconds to vote. 4 seconds, 2 seconds, 1 second. The poll has closed. Result, please. At the end of the voting on resolution 1, we have 196 shareholders voting present and by proxy, amounting to 362,329,735 units. No against. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Following the announcement of the result by the registrar, I hereby declare the motion carried. The second item is the election, re-election, and retirement of directors. I will start with the election of Mr. Tomiwa Aladekomo and Mr. Gavin Young as directors of the company. After the last annual general meeting, the directors of this company, in exercise of the powers conferred on them by Article 81 of the Articles of Association, appointed directors to the board. And in accordance with this same section, with the same Article 81, the directors are seeking to ratify the appointments as directors. Their profiles can be found on the company's website. I hereby move that Mr. Tomiwa Aladekomo be hereby elected as a non-executive director of the company. Will a member second the motion? Yes, Dr. Antonio Mojola. Please kindly announce your name. Sorry. No, I'm not involved, sir. Yes, Tomiwa Aladekomo. No. No. Thank you so much, Dr. Antonio Mojola. The motion is hereby put to vote. Again, I call on the registrars to count the votes by poll.
If you are in support of Mr. Tomiwa Aladekomo as a non-executive director of Chams PSC, please press 1 on the device given to you. If you are against the resolution, please press 2. Thank you. We already have 5 shareholders who have voted. Eight seconds left, 7 seconds, 6 seconds, 5 seconds, 4 seconds, 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 0 seconds. Thank you. The time is up. The result, please. At the end of the voting, we have 195 shareholders voting present and by proxy, amounting to 329,155 shares in favor, no against. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Following the announcement of the result by the registrar, I declare the motion carried, and it is hereby resolved that Mr. Tomiwa Aladekomo be and is hereby elected Director of your company, Chams PLC. Next is the election of Mr. Gavi Young as the Group Managing Director of the company. I hereby move that Mr. Gavi Young be and is hereby elected as the Group Managing Director of the company. Will a member second the motion? Yes, please. Thank you so much, Mr. Peter Olabi. The motion is hereby put to vote. I call again the registrar.
If you are in favor of Mr. Gavin Young as the Group Managing Director of Chams PSC, please press 1 on the voting device you are having, while you press 2 if you are against. You have 3 shareholders that have already voted. 4 have voted. Okay, 5. Now, okay. Calm down. You only have 7 seconds, 6 seconds, 5 seconds. If you want to change your mind, thank you. Time up. The result, please. At the end of the voting, we have the shareholders physically present and voting by proxy. We have 195, amounting to 362,329,155 shares. No against. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lawal. Following the announcement of the result by the registrar, I declare the motion carried, and it is hereby resolved that Mr. Gavin Young be and is hereby elected as the Group Managing Director of your company, Chams PLC. We will proceed to the re-election of directors. Professor Oyebidakpobe and Pastor Itua Igudalo are directors retiring by rotation under Article 75 of the Companies Articles and Section 259 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act, Cap C20 LFN 2004, and being eligible and having indicated their willingness to stay in office, they also present themselves for re-election. Their reappointments are to be approved at this meeting. I hereby move that Professor Oyebidakpobe, being a director, retiring and presenting himself for re-election at this meeting in accordance with the company's Articles of Association, be and is hereby re-elected as non-executive director of your company, Chams PLC. Will a member second this motion, please? Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Antonio Omojola, for seconding the motion. The motion is hereby put to vote. Mr. Registrar.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. If you are in favor of Professor Oyebidakpobe as the Director of Chams PSC, please press 1 on the voting device you are having. If you are against the resolution, please press 2. Thank you. Okay. Calm down, please. 9 seconds left. 8 seconds, 7 seconds, 6 seconds, 4 seconds, 3 seconds. Thank you. The poll has closed. At the end of the voting, we have 195 shareholders present and voting by proxy, amounting to 362,329,155 shares. 100%, no against. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Following the announcement of the results of the voting by the registrar, I hereby declare the motion carried. I hereby move that Pastor Itua Ighodalo, being director, retiring and presenting himself for re-election at this meeting in accordance with the company's articles of association, B, and is hereby re-elected as non-executive directors of Chams PLC. Will a member second this motion? Thank you so much, Mr. Owolabi Peter. The motion is hereby put to vote. Mr. Registrar, please.
We are in favor of re-election of Pastor Itua Ighodalo as a director of Chams PLC. Please press 1 on the voting device given to you, while you press 2 if you are against the resolution. Thank you. The poll is now open. You have 3, 4, 5 shareholders already responded to the resolutions. 9 seconds, 8 seconds, 7 seconds left. If you want to change my mind, 4 seconds, 3 seconds, 2 seconds. Yeah, the poll has closed. At the end of the voting, we have 195 shareholders physically present and voting by proxy, having 362,329,155 shares, 100% for this resolution, no against.
Thank you so much. Following the announcement of the result by the registrar, I hereby declare the motion carried. Please join me in congratulating our newly appointed directors and re-elected directors. We wish them well in the service of our great company, Chams PLC. Next is the retirement of directors. Distinguished shareholders, during the year 2019, our very dear Mr. Olufemi Williams and Mrs. Olufunke Alomolua announced their intention to retire as the Group Managing Director and Executive Director of the company respectively. They wish to thank all the shareholders and board members for their unwavering support when they were on the board of Chams PLC. We also, on your behalf, thank Mr. Olufemi Williams, who served for 30 years in Chams PLC. Please, let's give him a big round of applause. We also thank Mrs. Olufunke Alomolua, who served as the Managing Director of Chams Assets and also as Executive Director of Chams PLC very well. We also give her a big round of applause. We wish the two of them the very best in life. Thank you so much. God bless you. The third item on the agenda is to authorize the Board of Directors to fix the remuneration of the auditors. In accordance with the Section 361 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act, Cap C20, 2004, it is required that the remuneration of the auditors be fixed by the company in general meeting or in such manner as the company in general meeting may determine. I thereby move that the directors be and are hereby authorized to fix the remuneration of the auditors of the company. Will a member second this motion? Thank you, Dr. Omojola. The motion is hereby put to vote. Mr. Registrar.
If you are in favor of the resolution for the company to authorize the directors to fix the remuneration of the auditors, Please press 1 if you are in favor of the resolution, while you press 2 if you are against the resolution. Thank you. Five responses. Calm down. 9 seconds left, 7 seconds. You want to change your mind. 4 seconds, 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1 second. Poll closed. At the end of the voting, regarding the resolution for the directors to fix the remuneration of the auditors, we have 195 shareholders physically present and voting by proxy, having 362,329,485 shares, representing 100%. No against. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Following the announcement of the result by the registrar, I hereby declare the motion carried. The fourth item on the agenda is the election of the members of the Statutory Audit Committee of the company. The Audit Committee is a requirement of the Companies and Allied Matters Act, CAP C20, 2004. The committee is constituted on an equal number of directors and representatives of the shareholders, but is subject to a limit of 6 members. Members are not entitled to remuneration and are subject to re-election annually. Consequently, the board has nominated the following directors as members of the Audit Committee: Dr. Evans Woirem, Pastor Ichua Igudalo, and Mr. Tomiwa Aladekomo. In accordance with Section 359 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2004, members are to send to the company secretary at least 21 days before the annual general meeting nomination letters for any 3 shareholders to represent the shareholders on the Audit Committee. 17 nomination letters were received for the 3 places to represent the shareholders of the Audit Committee. 3 nominations were disqualified due to the non-compliance with Section 3955 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act. The remaining 14 valid nominations are Mr. Emmanuel Ogochukwuka Onoche, Mr. Adedoyin Owolabi, Mr. Moses Igburide, Mr. Gbadero Michael Kayode, Mr. Kigbongbe Ariolu, Mr. Liu Odunuga Samiat Adebanke, Mr. Salau Mohammed Adebanjo, Mr. Eyenuku Peter, Mr. Orelaji Ayodele, Mr. Ali Ayawole Sikiru, Mr. Cole Michael Alexander, Mr. Jimo Oludare Tajudeen, Mr. Olatunji Folonsho Jacob, Alaga Kolawole Muftau. We shall now proceed with the election of the Audit Committee members, which will be by the show of hands of members present at this meeting. As only 3 shareholders are required to join the 3 directors to bring the number of members of the Audit Committee to 6, we present for the election the 14 nominees for the shareholders' representative. We shall now proceed with the election one by one. I hereby call on the registrars to lead us through the voting process.
Thank you. For the purpose of voting, for the purpose of audit committee members, it's going to be by show of hand, just like the chairman has announced. If you are in favor of Mr. Onoche Emmanuel, please raise up your hand for counting. Mr. Onoche Emmanuel, if you are in favor of Mr. Emmanuel as a member of audit committee of Chams PSC, please raise up your hand. Okay, thank you. If you are against Mr. Onoche Emmanuel, okay, thank you. The next person is Mr. Owolabi Doyin. If you are in favor of Mr. Owolabi Doyin as a member of audit committee, please raise up your hand. The next candidate is Mr. Ubrude Moses. You are in favor of Mr. Ubrude Moses as a member of audit committee of Chams PSC. Please raise up your hand. Next candidate is Mr. Badero Michael Kayode. If you are in favor of Mr. Badero Michael Kayode to be a member of audit committee of Chams PSC, please raise up your hand. No vote. The next candidate is Mr. Akingbongbe Ari Olu. If you are in favor of Mr. Akingbongbe Ari Olu to be a member of audit committee of Chams PSC, please raise up your hand. The next candidate is Mr. Aliu Odunuga Samiat Adibanke. If you are in favor of Mr. Aliu Odunuga Samiat Adibanke, please raise up your hand. The next candidate is Mr. Salau Mohammed Adibanjo. If you are in favor of Mr. Salau Mohammed Adibanjo to be a member of a Chams PSC audit committee, please raise up your hand. The next candidate is Mr. Eyanonku Peter. If you are in favor of Mr. Eyanonku Peter, please raise up your hand. The next candidate is Mr. Orelaji A. Ayodele. We are in favor of Mr. Orelaji A. Ayodele as to be a member of a Chams PSC audit committee. Please raise up your hand. The next candidate is Mr. Ali Ayawole Sikiru. We are in favor of Mr. Ali Ayawole Sikiru. Please raise up your hand for counting. The next candidate is Mr. Cole Michael Alexander. If you are in favor of Mr. Cole Michael Alexander to join the audit committee of a Chams PSC, please raise up your hand. The next candidate is Mr. Jimon Oludari Tajudeen. We are in favor of Mr. Jimon Oludari Tajudeen to be a member of a Chams PSC audit committee. Please raise up your hand. The next candidate is Mr. Olatunji Folorunso Jacob. We are in favor of Mr. Olatunji Folorunso Jacob to be a member of a Chams PSC audit committee. Please raise up your hand. And the last but not the least is Mr. Alaga Kolawole Mustau. We are in favor of Mr. Alaga Kolawole Mustau. Please raise up your hand. Thank you. At the end of the voting exercise, we have Mr. Agbadero Michael Kayode Akingbongbe Ariolu Ali Odunuga Samiat Adibanke, Saliu Mohammed Adibanjo, Eyanonku Peter Orelaja Ayodele, Ali Ayowole Sikiru, Co. Michael Alexander, Jimoh Oludare, Tajudeen Olatunji Folorunso Jacob, and Alaga Kolawole Mustapha. No vote. Why we have at the end of the voting, we now have Mr. Onoche Emmanuel having 6 votes, Mr. Olabi Doyin having 5 votes, Mr. Igurude Moses 6 votes. I therefore declared that Mr. Onoche Emmanuel, Mr. Olabi Doyin, and Mr. Igurude Moses having stored the highest vote, hereby return as a member of Audit Committee of Chams PLC.
Following the announcement of the election results by the registrar, I hereby declare that Mr. Emmanuel Ugochukwu Onoche, Mr. Adedoyin Owolabi, Mr. Moses O. Igrude are the duly elected representatives of the shareholders in the Statutory Audit Committee of your company, Chams PLC. I hereby declare that the following are the duly constituted members of the Statutory Audit Committee of the company on the conclusion of the next annual general meeting. Dr. Evans Woirem, Pastor Ichua Igudalo, Mr. Tomiwa Aladekomo, Mr. Emmanuel Ugochukwu Onoche, Mr. Adedoyin Owolabi, Mr. Moses O. Igrude. Please join me in congratulating the newly appointed members of the Audit Committee. I am sure we can all rely on them to do an excellent job. Congratulations, gentlemen. We shall now proceed to the 5th item on the agenda under special business, which is to fix the remuneration of the directors. In accordance with Section 267 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act, Cap C20 2004, it is required that the remuneration of the directors be fixed by the company in general meeting. Will a shareholder move that the fees payable to each of the directors of the company for the year ending 31st December 2019 be and is hereby fixed as follows? That a non-executive director's annual remuneration, except chairman, is 2 million. That the chairman's annual remuneration is 2.5 million. Please.
I move.
Thank you, Mr. Olabi Peter, for moving that motion. Dr. Anthony Peter, thank you for seconding the motion. Dr. Anthony Omojola, thank you for seconding the motion. The motion is hereby put to vote. We call on our registrar again to conduct.
For the purpose of voting regarding resolution relating to the remuneration of the directors, it's going to be by poll. So we are going to make use of the voting device. If you are in favor of that resolution, please press 1. If you are against the resolution, please press 2. Thank you. Four responses, 5, okay. We only have 9 seconds left, 8 seconds, calm down. Time's up. result. At the end of the voting, regarding the resolution relating to the remuneration of the directors, we have 196 shareholders present and voting, having 362,329,735 shares. 100%. No against. Thank you.
Thank you, Registrar. Following the announcement of the results by the Registrar, I hereby declare the motion carried. We shall now proceed to the sixth and the last item on the agenda under special business. I therefore move that further to the approval of the shareholders of the company obtained at the 34th annual general meeting of the company held on April 24, 2018, by which the company is duly authorized to raise additional capital of up to 500 million, whether by 500 million naira, whether by way of rights issue, public offer, private placement, and or other securities, at such time for such consideration and upon such terms and conditions as the directors may deem fit, for the purpose of strengthening the company's equity capital base. A, the directors be and are hereby authorized to raise capital of 500 million naira by way of a rights issue of ordinary shares to its shareholders, hereby called the rights issue, and that the rights issue be executed at such price, time, for such period, and on such other terms and conditions as the directors may deem fit. B, the company be and hereby authorized to issue shares below par value of 50 kobo at a discount, not exceeding 50% below par value for the purpose of due consideration of the price of the company shares on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange. That the company be and is hereby authorized to convert any convertible loan stocks raised to equity by way of debt equity conversion or through any of the mode of equity issuances approved herein upon such terms and conditions as agreed in the loan conversion agreement. Will a member second this motion?
Knowing fully well that we have a listening board, and based on the advice given today, in addition, not only that the board and management may deem it fit to even have a pre-write forum, I do support that motion.
Thank you. Your name again, please.
Prince Dr. Anthony Omojola.
Thank you so much. The motion is hereby put to vote. I call on the registrar once more.
For the purpose of voting on the resolution as proposed and seconded, please press 1 if you are in favor of the resolution, while you press 2 if you are against the resolution. Thank you. For 5 responses. Yeah. Thank you. Calm down. 8 seconds left. 7 seconds to change your mind. 5 seconds. 3 seconds. 2 seconds. Yeah, time's up. At the end of the voting on this resolution, we have 185 shareholders present and voting by proxy, amounting to 362,310,035 units of shares, representing 100%. No against. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Following the announcement of the result by the registrar, I hereby declare the motion carried. I must thank first registrar for conducting all the voting processes very well. Thank you, first registrar. Ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of the business to be considered at this meeting. Thank you all for taking the time to attend this meeting and actively participating in the affairs of your company, both physically and electronically. I now declare the meeting closed. Thank you so much for supporting your company. God bless you all. For participating actively and giving the management a 4-page assignment, I hereby call on the representative of the Independent Shareholders Association of Nigeria to give us the closing prayer. Dr. Anthony Omojola.
Thank you. You can rise up. I can bow down your head wherever you are. In Jesus' name. Father, we want to thank you for the opportunity we have today. We thank you for a day like this. We have deliberated the activities of our company, Chams PLC, for the preceding year. We have also mapped out strategies for the foregoing year. I will pray that you'll be with the directors and the management to be able to carry out these activities successfully. By the time we come back next year, with your help, that all the stakeholders will cooperate and we shall have a successful right issue. Will help us to glorify your holy name. In Jesus' mighty name I pray.
Amen.
Thank you for answering prayer.
Thank you so much. God bless you all. Till we meet again. Thank you so much. God bless you all.